Thank you all for coming. My name is Taylor Gorrell. One of the major video game series out there is Pokemon, and it's been around almost as long as Super Mario Brothers even. Starting way back in the 1990s and having gone through 6 generations of new games, new Pokemon, new everything, all the way up to now. Though a lot of media touts it as mainly bonding with your Pokemon, the major aspect of this series is the battle system. Between aspects like moves and types to the stats and items, there's a lot you need to learn about in the basics in order to figure out how to battle. And that's why I'm here, to help you figure it out. The main thing you need to know about Pokemon is the types. There are a total of 18 types in the series, ranging from types you'd expect, like fire, water, ice, to types that seem odd, like bug, dragon, and fairy types. Every type has its own matchups with another. Some are weak to certain moves, some are resistant to certain moves, and some take no damage from certain moves. I'll get more to that later. Every Pokemon has a type, but some can even be dual type, having 2 types, which can radically change the matchups based on the Pokemon. Another thing every Pokemon has is their stats. There are a total of 6 stats that every Pokemon has. HP, which is hit points, which basically determines how much is in their health bar. Attack and special attack, two offensive stats that run off the 2 different types of attacking moves, more on that later. Defense and special defense, which also determine how much that Pokemon, how much damage they can take from those 2 separate types of attacking moves. And speed, which, since these are turn-based battles, determine which Pokemon moves first in the battle. Every Pokemon has base stats, which is a rough indicator of how strong that Pokemon can be in a certain stat. As an example, I have the most well-known Pokemon in the franchise, Pikachu. The table you see here is basically an indicator of how much of each base stat Pikachu has. As you can clearly see, the 90 speed here indicates that it's actually pretty good in terms of speed, but not very good at anything else. There's also a major factor in stats that became more obvious as of recent are effort values, EVs. When your Pokemon battles, has certain items used on it, those effort values go up, which increase your Pokemon's stats. The higher a Pokemon's base stats are, the higher Pokemon's actual stat is, the stronger it is. There's also something called individual values, but not even I really know much about them, so we'll just skip those. Another main thing when it comes to actual battles are the moves. Your main moves are your attacking moves, which are the 2 types I mentioned earlier, physical and special, which run off the attack or special attack stat, respectively, and calculate damage based on the defense and special defense stats, respectively. There are also status moves, which are non-attacking, which can have effects such as altering the Pokemon's stats, raising or lowering, healing them in case they took any damage, inflicting one of 6 different status conditions, between sleep, freeze, and paralyze, which have the possibility to completely stop your Pokemon from moving, burn and poison, which cause slight damage every turn, or confuse, which can not only immobilize your Pokemon, but also make them take damage at the same time. These effects can also come about as a result of attacking moves, so make sure you watch that. Like Pokemon, though, every move has a type, which is where the type matchups come in. This is a chart basically detailing the matchups between attacking move and defending Pokemon type. If an attacking move hits a dual type Pokemon, it will take all factors into account. So effectively, if a fire type move attacks a grass and ice type Pokemon, they will take quadruple damage from that attack, rather than double damage from that one type alone. All moves run on power points, PP for short, and the stronger moves have less of it. If your move is out of PP, you can't use it. And Pokemon cannot use every move they can know. All Pokemon can only have 4 moves at a time. So you gotta pick your slots carefully and make sure you've got your strategy down. Introduced in the 3rd generation of Pokemon, we have abilities. Unlike moves, abilities are passive, meaning they're always in effect. And it's not easy to cancel them out. As an example of ability, which I have here in my Pokemon Omega Ruby game, we have the Pokemon Wailord. This part right here is the ability, Water Veil, which according to the description means that effectively Wailord cannot be burned. There is no activation for this; it is automatic. Some moves can be used in combination with abilities, such as an ability known as Flash Fire, which if the Pokemon is hit with a fire type move, they will take no damage, and their own fire type moves will be powered up. So make sure you watch yourself when it comes to abilities. And lastly, another thing that can totally change the game are items. There are 2 ways to use items, either directly from your bag, which is effectively your inventory, or you can actually give your Pokemon an item to hold, meaning the item will activate itself when the time is right. For example, a Power Herb. Some moves in the game require a turn to charge up. Power Herb skips that charge turn entirely and immediately fires off the move. But the Power Herb is used up in the process. Item effects are as varied as moves and abilities. So you can use them to add an extra layer of strategy to your battles. So there's a lot to take in when it comes to battles, but in hindsight, they're actually remarkably simple. Type matchups are not hard to get down once you've studied them a while, and your stats are relatively easy to manage, especially in later games in the series. Plan your moves carefully and keep in mind your abilities, because that can set up for some powerful combos, especially if you include items in the mix, usually held items, because you're not always going to be able to use items directly from your bag. It may seem like a lot to take in, but if you just take some time to figure it out, I'm sure you'll be able to become a very great Pokemon battler.